welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a career in sterile processing. This is how this is going to work. This is going to be a question and answer section. I'm going to try as much as I can to answer most of the questions to the best of my ability. So one of the staff of SAMI Sterile Processing will be asking me some questions today, and I will try to address those questions. Well, I think you can take different routes to get into sterile processing as a career. You can either go to a community college. So there are some community college currently that do have a sterile processing, kind of like a certificate program. You can do that, or you can take a course online that will prepare you to take the certification to get into sterile processing. Or you can just buy the book, study the book, and read the book. Once you are done reading the book, then if you are confident enough, you can go take the exam. Either you take the exam with Healthcare Sterile Processing Association, or you take the exam with CSPD. So once you are able to pass the exam, then you now need the clinical hours experience so that you can get the full certification. With HSPA, once you take the exam, they will give you what we call a provisional certificate. After that provisional certificate, that is when they expect you within 6 months to sit down and gather the clinical hours and present that to them before you'll be given the full certification that you can be able to use to practice. For going to school for sterile processing in any of the community college, it's not a 2 years course. Most schools is just like a 6 months program. Some schools is a 3 months program, and they will teach you different topic in sterile processing that we actually prepare you to go sit for the certification exam. The main goal is for you to be able to get the certification exam. The first certification in getting in is what we call the CROCST certification, Certified Registered Central Sterile Technician. That's kind of your entry certification into the sterile processing career. Oh, that's a very good question. How I personally got into sterile processing, I did apply for the job. There was a leadership position that opened up. It was actually a supervisor position in sterile processing. I applied for the position, and I was interviewed for it. So I ended up getting the position. What happened in that position was that the manager I was reporting to actually trained me as a technician because she did ask me if I really wanted to stay in the career, and I said yes. Our advice was, let me train you as a technician so that way you really know what you are managing. That's how I was able to get into sterile processing as a career. Initially, I did not have my CROCST certificate. When I was hired, I didn't. So I went through the regular training. I was trained as a technician. So after, I believe, close to a year, then I purchased the book, and purchasing the book, I studied. For me, it was just self-study. Page to page, I read the entire HISPA book. the Healthcare Sterile Processing Association 8th edition manual. As at that time, I believe the 9th edition just came out. So I read that book back to back, about twice, and I went to sit for the certification exam. At one sitting, I was able to pass the exam, and being that I have already been practicing, I have already been in sterile processing for a year, so I already had that 400 hours, clinical hours that is required. And since I passed the certification exam, then I was given the CROCST certification. That was how I got certified in sterile processing. Yes, it has been a journey. It has been quite a journey. I have gradually moved up. I started as a supervisor, and from there, I became a manager, and then I became a regional director, and also now I'm a system director. Currently, I hold the position of a system director in sterile processing. Uh, that's a very good question as well. Being that for me, when I got into sterile processing, I had a first degree. So it was a little bit easy for me to move up the career ladder since I had a first degree. But while I was, I mean, during my part, I acquired other certifications. So apart from the CROCST certification, I acquired the CIS certification, I acquired the CHL certification. The CHL certification is Certified Healthcare Leadership Certification that is being offered by the Healthcare Sterile Processing Association, HISPR. And the CIS certification also, which is the Certified Instrument Specialist certification that is being offered by HISPR as well. I also acquired that certification. And the CERO certification, which is the Certified Endoscope Reprocessor certification, I also acquired that as well from HISPR. So that was how I gradually moved up the ladder. And during the course of my journey, I also got my master's degree as well, which really is what you really need for you to become like a system director in sterile processing. Don't get me wrong, there are some system directors in sterile processing that do have a high school diploma. They grew over time. It's different in terms of the time frame. Another part you can take with that, all the degrees and all that, is that you just grow over time, right? Even though just with a high school diploma, with accumulation of experience over the years, probably like 10, 15 years experience, then you grow over time. So it's much more of a longer journey, if you ask me, before you'll be able to get to that level of like a system director if you do not have any college degree. That's a good question. With the CROCST certificate, apart from being a director, you can be an instrument coordinator. That's a position in sterile processing. An educator. That's also a position in sterile processing. Also, a sterile processing supervisor, a sterile processing manager, sterile processing lead. So these are all leadership positions, right? But the first step is you becoming a sterile processing technician. After becoming a sterile processing technician, if you want to move further, you can become a lead. From a lead, you can then become either an instrument coordinator, an educator, a supervisor, or a manager. from a manager, you can become maybe an assistant director, a director, a regional director, or a system director. So the career progression is different depending on what your interest really is. For me, I've always had a passion for leadership. I knew that leadership was in me, so something kept pushing me to go into leadership, and I really do enjoy what I do. I'm very passionate about what I do. It's fun to me. Yes, you can. There are other certificates in sterile processing that you can acquire. As I stated previously, you can acquire the Certified Endoscope Reprocessor certificate. That certificate in the industry we call a standalone certificate. So what does that mean? That means you do not need other certification before you are able to sit for the CER certification, because that CER certification is specifically geared towards the processing of flexible endoscope. So apart from the CRO-CST certification, you can go directly and just get your CER certification even without getting the CRO-CST certification first. If processing endoscope is what you really want to do, like an endotech, we call them kind of endo/GI tech, right? If that is what your passion really is, then you can go for your CER certification instead of first of all going for your CRO-CST certification. Thank you very much. Stay tuned, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and stay tuned for my next video.